So, you've been busy overseas teaching energetic full body orgasm workshops, amongst other things. So I thought it might be good time to just dive straight into the energetics of sexuality and orgasm.
Sure, that's like a good way to start.
Great. So it seems in the mainstream that we very rarely think of sex and orgasm as energetic. It's so often seen as purely physical. So can you tell us about the energetic nature of our sexual experience?
Well, if you look at the whole world, if you look at our bodies, if you look at the physical world, we've been taught that everything around us is like a solid experience. But if you were to get a big enough magnifying glass and look into, say, the table that you're sitting against or the chair that you're sitting on, you quickly start to realize that there's actually more space than there is matter. And if you were to get an even bigger magnifying glass and look at the matter that makes up that chair or table or your leg, you would start to quickly realize that the matter is actually a sound wave more so than a particle. And quantum science, is scientifically proven this time and time again. So what that tells me is that even though we've been taught that the physical world is seemingly our reality, it's actually the energetic world that is the reality, and more so the physical world is our illusion. The interesting thing is, depending on what level of consciousness you're looking at the world from will determine your experience.
Yes.
So my level of consciousness has a belief that says that the physical world is reality, then that will be my experience. If my level of consciousness says and understands that the world is more about energy than it is a physical reality, then that will start to become my experience. So we've been taught that with regards to our sexuality, that orgasm happens in our genitals, and it happens from a friction-focused perspective. When you start to raise your level of consciousness and understand that underneath the physical reality, so to speak, is the energetic reality, then we can start to play with what I call the sexual energy in the body and start to move it around. Rather than condensing it into our genital area, we can move that sexual energy through our whole body, and therefore every cell in our body then has the potential to be orgasmic.
Fabulous.
Essentially, every cell in our body is the same as every other cell in our body. Every atom in the universe is essentially the same atom. It's just constructed together in a different way, which then determines how we perceive it. What that tells me is that when I'm having an orgasm on a physical level in my genitals, the cell area are just vibrating in a particular way, at a particular frequency, which I then experience and interpret as pleasure.
Okay.
What that also tells me then is that if I can get the cells in, say, my fingers or in my throat or in my face or in my teeth vibrating at the same frequency that my genitals vibrate during an orgasm, then those cells in my body can also become orgasmic.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So you're sort of saying that sexual energy then is not really any different to life energy or, any other energy. It's all just energy and it's just moving in different places. Is that would that be true?
Everything at a fundamental level is just energy. It's just a vibration. And it's our interpretation based on our belief system, our cultural conditioning, and our perception of things determines our experience of energy.
Okay. So when we're talking about the energetic nature of orgasm, and when you're talking about energetic full body orgasms, can you just explain to me what that looks like or would feel like?
Well, often when we're having a friction-focused orgasm, meaning that there's a lot of physical stimulation of the genital area, it's usually based in a tension type of experience in the body where there's a lot of friction and there's more and more tension in the body, which then leads to a type of orgasm that then has a big drop afterwards. So we get the tension, we tension, and we're friction. We orgasm, or if you're a man, you orgasm and ejaculate, and then you quickly drop back down. And then there's a recovery period that's required before you can do that experience again. But when we start to move the energy through our body, so when we generate it in our genital area and then start circulating it, in other words, what happens is that the type of orgasm that we have starts to become a wave kind of orgasm. becomes an extended experience that can go for long periods of time, anywhere from a couple of hours. And this starts to then become a physical reality in the body as well, not just an energetic experience. The body takes on this orgasmic pleasure. So the main difference is the friction-focused orgasm often happens quite quickly. It may last 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and it's very much based in friction.
Yeah.
The energetic orgasm can go for extended periods of time, 1-2 hours, if the person wants to hold that level of presence for that period of time.
So it sounds like with the energy orgasm, it almost sounds like it starts energetically and builds, and then you also do feel that physically as well, in the physical body also.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And you think that it's possible for everyone to experience these prolonged energy orgasms?
It's without a doubt possible. The main thing that blocks people from moving from a friction-focused perspective to an energetic perspective in their sexuality is often our cultural conditioning, our education system that teaches us about what sexuality is and what it isn't. Because a lot of the time what we're taught growing up isn't really designed to support us to expand our consciousness around sexuality and support us to become empowered adults around our sexuality.
Yeah.
A lot of the belief systems and conditionings in our culture teach us to generally shut down our bodies and our sexuality because essentially I believe that we're living in a very much shame-based culture around these types of things. If you look at our religions, for example, they're very focused on suffering as being something that we worship. Jesus dying on the cross for our sins is certainly something that is highly respected in our culture, and people will, openly worship Jesus for his suffering.
Yes.
Those same religions that have taught us to worship that suffering have also taught us that sin and the body, that our sexuality and our body are of the sin. There's a very powerful conditioning, regardless of whether you went to religious schools or not, that teaches us to shut down our sexuality, that there's something shame-based in it, something wrong with our sexuality. And what I find is when most people are able to heal the shame and the guilt around their bodies and sexuality and step into their power as sexual adults, that's when they can really start to transform their sexual experience from friction-focused type of orgasm into the full-body extended massive orgasm.